Thank you for remaining with us. You're watching Smart 24, where we drive your business. And now we move into the other markets here, the Nairobi Stock Exchange markets. Remember, diversity is what we are looking at, and the more diverse your investments, the less, of course, you will feel the risk that, of course, you're investing in various fields, various markets. Even if it's in the stock markets, it's always advisable for you to find different stock markets that you're investing in. If you're investing in the New York Stock Exchange, you can also invest in Shanghai, you can invest in Tokyo. Big boys do it. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So the Nairobi Stock Exchange, of course, we see that yesterday their trade, of course, their all-share index went up, and we can say that their companies have, of course, the market with prices as high, actually points as high as 136.58 points in gaining. And then when we look at this index, we came from 175 last year closing and down to 150. We crossed that 150 line at around the month of May 2022, and then down $747,900, and AI&M Holdings at 500,000 shares. Generally, looking at the trading here, there was a 22% improvement in turnover, and there was a 77% decline in the deals, driving the current market capitalization to 2.13 trillion Kenyan shillings. And the total trading shares that were done were actually about 5.4 million shares, and the value of these shares was 113.8 million Kenyan shillings, close to 13.9 million Kenyan shillings. Regarding the performance of the index, as you can see there, the index, of course, went up by 1.71 points. That's about 1.25%, and we see it closing at 136.58 points. Other remarkable indices that performed were the NSE 20 share index and of course the NSE 25 as well. But looking into the top gainer here, you can see that, of course, Limuru Tea came out on top, but national, of course, the national beverages of course, Kenya NBV, Nairobi Business Ventures, also came in as a gainer. There was also Crown there was BKG, there was Liberty, there was Britam Holdings, NMG, Stanley Fahari, and Ever Ready. And those are the stocks that particularly also stood out in terms of trading. Limuru Tea Company, who came out on top, has been one of the companies moving really fast in terms of growth on the market. And the Limuru Tea Company, a company that is engaged in growing of tea leaf tea, actually green leaf tea. And this company owns about 275 hectares of tea land that are situated 4 kilometers to the east of Limuru. It's listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol LIMT, and the company is currently the 43rd most valuable stock on the NSE, with a market capitalization of 1.11 billion Kenyan shillings, which is about 0.052% of the Nairobi Securities Exchange equity market. And the company's earnings, of course, when you look at how the company has progressed, the company closed Tuesday, the 26th of July 2022, at 461.75 Kenyan shillings per share, recording a 9.9% daily gain over its previous closing price. At least you have a little bit of security, because you know that the moment there are losses, they will be spread out, and you may as well be able to retain your at least a little bit of your value. But the moment you put all your eggs in one basket and those eggs get broken, you might lose the entire thing. So this is exactly what you must be doing: investing here in Uganda, investing in Kenya, investing in Dar es Salaam, investing in Johannesburg if you can, investing in Nigeria, and so on. And the financial markets really give you very leveraged ground where you can be able to invest here and there freely without any limitations at all. And the Nairobi Stock Exchange, starting of course 1954, is a very attractive market for many who find it very active, and those who find it a very interesting market to invest in. Of course, they also deal, because they have 4 market segments. They have the main market segment, they have the alternate market segment. They also have the fixed incomes, the bills and the bonds, corporate bonds, that is to say, also treasury bonds that we talk about here. and they can be able to help you access all of those on the NSE, that is the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And definitely they give you some value for your money if at all you're able to transact with them, because the Kenyan shillings, as you know, much as it's weakening against the dollar, it is still stronger than the Ugandan shilling. So you can still add a little bit value to your currency. You can still be able to buy these Kenyan shillings. You can still be able to do lots of things here on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now, there is also at the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. Definitely, this exchange is also situated in Tanzania, within East Africa, with several listed equities. We have, of course, when we look at the markets, we can see several cross listings like Nation Media Group, like KCB, and very many others that are listed on the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. You can also explore investing in this exchange using those channels I've just talked about. And looking at those counters there on the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, you can see some of the gainers and losers as well. Their market capitalization, looking at the entire market there, we have about 15.5 billion Tanzanian shillings, and the equity turnover, we can see about 192 million that's 192,950,400 shares there. You have a total volume of over 353,663, and the total number of deals as 61. That is on the last day of trading. Their indices, they have the Tanzania Share Index and the Dar es Salaam Exchange Index, and they both went down by 20.74 points at closing at 3,876.43 and 1,863.16 points. That is on the 26th of July, the year as 2022. And the Tanzanian shillings at the moment is at 1.64 Ugandan shillings per Tanzanian shillings, meaning it's still stronger than our currency here. But as you can see, it is something you must be able to also invest in if at all you're to diversify and try to bring a little bit of value to the market, and also try to bring value to yourself as an individual to see that your value increases as you invest. Also, we can see that, of course, when we look at the securities in Tanzania, there are several securities like the treasury bonds that are listed there on the exchange up for grab. So you can still take hold of some of those financial instruments. And the gainers there on the Tanzania stock market, you can look at them, and some of the losers. We have Total, we have NMG, we have KCB Bank there, and all those are counters that are listed on the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. This is to show you how diverse the markets are here in East Africa, how much you can go to as far as Tanzania in investing. And NMB closed at 2,800 after a loss of 3.45%. And then KCB at 750, closed by a loss of 1.32%. And CRDB at 385 after a loss of 1.28%. While NMG came in as a gainer at 1.39%. And TOL at 570 at 3.64%. And then SWIS at 2,000, and that was a 9.89% gain there. Of course, that brings us to the close of those markets there, and you can find more on the websites of stockbrokers, websites of these particular companies that are listed and you can also find more on the exchanges themselves. That is at Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, and Nairobi Stock Exchange, and the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, moving into some news stories here that are making headlines. Of course, there are fears of default forces, of course, banks to cut back on lending, according to Bank of Uganda. Now, Bank of Uganda Deputy Governor Dr. Michael Atingi Ego has said the banking sector has cut back on lending due to fear to default. Speaking during the 5th Annual Bankers Conference in Kampala, Dr. Atingi Ego said uncertainty about economic growth expectations, about the economic growth expectations due to several shocks that are hitting the economy had made banks shy in advancing credit to the private sector for fear of potential defaults due to poor business prospects in the country. This, he said, has created a financing gap that is expected to constrain the rejuvenation and enhancement of local industrial capacity, which government had hoped would cover supply shortages that continue to present challenges in the economy. However, Dr. Atingi Ego indicated that banks still have sufficient capital buffers to spur economic recovery, given that they remain solid and resilient, having entered the COVID-19 period with sufficient capital and liquidity buffers. Banks hold strongly liquidity buffers underpinned by growth in liquid assets and deposits, and of course the aggregate liquidity coverage ratio was 184.5% in June, above the minimum requirement of 100%. And of course, that was him noting, Dr. Atingi Ego noting at the All Banks meeting that, of course, had during the stress tests in March met, of course, capital adequacy requirements. Now, of course, when we look at the performance of the economy for April, loan uptake had remained steady during March, defying volatilities in commodity prices experienced since November last year, with private sector credit growing by 23.7%, representing a value of 1.082 trillion Ugandan shillings. The growth, which saw loan approval increase to 59%, was the highest since January. And of course, however, given the rate of mounting inflationary pressures, the banking sector has been reluctant to extend the credit to some sections of the economy, even as it has previously under Uganda Bankers Association committed to finance critical sectors of the economy. Dr. Atingi Ego said banks must step in to restore credit growth to pre-COVID-19 levels and above, but should remain cautious given that the ratio of non-performing assets has increased to 5.8%, exacerbated by a highly volatile operating environment. with the high interests that we are seeing. Of course, we hope for the best, but right now it's very important for you to remain very frugal as you do your spending, because the economy is not a good one with very high prices of commodities. You must be frugal, but remember to save and invest and put aside some money for future investments as well. You've been a very good person to view us since morning. Thank you for remaining tuned at Smart 24. More is coming up, of course, with Fred Makubuya coming in with UG Tukole. Later on, we have Skill Up and Jane Koleda with Mr. Hassan. Stay tuned at Smart 24 while we drive your business. My name is Anthony. I'll see you tomorrow.